Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Once Upon a Dad podcast. I did it, y'all. I don't know how I did it. I am exhausted. It is officially 10:30 at night after working both jobs. I'm ready to pass out. But I told myself that I would get this done to make sure that I get an episode ready and out for you guys by Wednesday. And hopefully, if future me is where he's supposed to be, this will be out on Wednesday and everything is great. So welcome to Once Upon a Dad podcast again. My name is Montez Greer. I will be your host, MC, and all the good stuff, man. This is a podcast for girl dads such as myself. I have 3 young daughters. They are 2, 4, and 6. We'll talk more about them later. But dads who are in my situation where you find yourself having a daughter and not necessarily knowing what to do or how to raise them. Granted, we're all parents, mom included, and dads who have sons. We all have children and have no idea what to do with them. But I feel like having a daughter gives that extra, oh shit, I really, I really don't know what to do. Like at least with a boy, I can say, oh man, I experienced that as a kid, son. Get up, and I can tell you what I did at least, and let's try to figure that out. With the girl, I feel like it's a whole different ball game. They are gonna go through life and experience things that I never even thought of, maybe never even dreamed of. And I'm finding myself looking at the world through the lens of a woman. And I'm like, dang, this is not the same. This is not the same as me when I was growing up. This is not the same way I view the world now. So now I feel like I had to adjust the lens and change the way I see the world because I want to see the world the way my kids see it. And I want to make a better world for them. And how can I do that without knowing them on a more personal level? So that's kind of what this is, man. This is a journey. This is a journey for me. This is very selfish. I'll say that in the podcast. This is designed to help me become the best father that I can be. I feel like I'm a good dad. I feel like I may even be a great dad. I want to be the best. And there is no best. There is no competition. There will never be a competition to say which dad is best. Every dad is going to be special in their own way to their own child. And as long as you are that for them, great. I want to be the best dad that I can be for my girl. So when they look back on their time with their dad and they can say, yep, my dad pretty much did everything he could have done. He couldn't have done anything better, and of course that will not happen. We're all imperfect. However, I will do my best. And if, what's the phrase? Shoot for the moon. Shoot for the moon. So even if you miss, you land amongst the stars, something like that. So that's my goal. I want them to say that my dad did everything right. And how can I do that? This being with folks, talking to you guys, coming on here every week, talking about a success that I've had this week, talk about a challenge that I had this week and how can I get better, or how could I have done that differently, or man, I really effed that up. How can I switch gears? So that's what this is. So I will bring on guests to this podcast. A lot of my guests, most of my guests will be fathers of daughters, and not exclusively. If you're a dad who only has daughters, just like me, you can be a dad with sons and daughters. However, you are going to have a different relationship with your daughter. So you can come on here and say, hey, my son, did this, and this is how I, worked with him. But I tried that same approach with my daughter and it didn't work. Let's talk about it. What happened? Why didn't that work? And you're not going to be asking me because I don't know. We're going to be on here talking to one another, and then we're going to work together to get the answer. So when we get off the air, we can reach out to a therapist. We can reach out to, a psychologist, someone who can help us, think through things, because being a parent is an ever learning job. It's something you're going to have to keep doing, and hopefully something that you get better at. And it's something that I want to get better at. So I want to talk to people who have knowledge that I don't, who can elevate me and get me up to the status where I want to be. So expect to see tons of guests on here. This will not be just me like this on a microphone talking at you guys like I am, although there will be weeks where I do not have guests, and we'll do this. And then we'll sprinkle some fun stuff in there too. There's some cool ideas that I wanted to do, man. Like I'll have the girls on, of course. They'll be on an episode with me screaming and being super loud, and I might regret that episode, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. And I want to do things like, there's this really cool idea that I have of wanting to watch Disney films from the perspective if the main character, if the main female character was my daughter or one of my daughters. So I've seen, a decent amount of Disney movies. I won't say them all, but I've seen Snow White, I've seen Beauty and the Beast, I've seen Moana, and I've looked at all of them from, oh, this is great, this is so cute, these are children. How would I feel if that was my daughter? Going to sail off on a boat, God knows how far away. How do I feel? What do I do as a dad? So I want to watch it like that. And then I want to come back and I want to talk to you about it. We can debrief. I want interactions from you guys listening. I want y'all to, comment, send me a message, whatever, and ask me a question or give me a comment and say, hey, did you ever think about this? And we could talk about it. I want this to not just be me preaching at everyone because to be quite honest, I feel like I don't have anything to preach about. I mean, like I said, my daughters are 2, 4, and 6. So I have at the most 6 years of experience, but there's so much more. Gosh, I want to talk to dads who have 60-year-old daughters, who are still out there in life. I would love to have, an older gentleman like that on here and come and just give me wisdom. I will be going to a man camp here pretty soon in October, I believe. And I think last year it's put on by Crossroads Church. So this shameless plug for them. Crossroads Church put on a man camp where they get guys together to come in Ohio and just get together and pray and worship and just have camaraderie with guys, just have that like-mindedness, be amongst like-minded peers and just talk to each other. We have campfires and do all this cool stuff. Anyway, I thought that would be the perfect place to just like set up a booth maybe and just have guys come in, talk to me for 5 minutes and say, hey, give me your best advice. You've been a dad for how long? What's your name? What's your best advice? Go. And I'll bring that on the podcast and I'll give y'all some of the best advice that I heard or something that I thought was really cool. Or hopefully something in that conversation will spark. And then I'll get one of those guys to come on and be a guest. How cool would that be? So there's so many things, man, that are going through my mind. And I'm super excited. I am ready to do this thing. So let me pull up a picture here. I'm gonna see if I can figure out how to do this, y'all. I think I can do it, but I'm gonna pull up a picture of my family so y'all can get an idea of who I am and where I come from. So this is me and my beautiful family. When I tell you guys, God knew what he was doing when he was bringing me up. I am a Christian and I do believe in God. He knew that I was gonna be a girl dad, and that's great because I am very well prepared. So this is not even all, most of the women in my life. So let's start with me. So you got me on the floor. Again, I am Montez. I am holding my oldest, Marley, who is now 6, I believe, may have been 5 at the time of this picture. And then going up to the right, in the middle, is my grandma Diane, who is holding little Riley. So my grandma, I give the credit to my grandma and my mom for raising me and making me the man who I am today. I love them so much. I have so much to be grateful for both of them, and I can't give them enough kudos. I mean, this is why we're here. Without them, this wouldn't be a thing. So that's my grandma, and then that's little Riley, who she's holding. She is now 4, probably 3. I think this was taken last year. And then we'll go down on the floor is Jasmine, is my younger sister. I've got a lot of sisters. She's the one right below me. I'm the oldest. So Jazz, I think at the time I'm making this podcast is 25. Yeah, what is 2025? Yeah, she 2010, or she was born in 2000. So whatever year it is, that's how old she is. That's how I figured this out. We love each other. Love you, Jazz. And then let's go up from her. That's my baby, Aaliyah. I got to name her. Y'all, my mom said that I can name this child, and I was so excited. And this was I used to be a huge Aaliyah fan. Not used to be, I guess I'm still a big Aaliyah fan, the singer who passed away. And I just love the thought of having my sister the same name of this beautiful icon. So there it is. I love Aaliyah. That's my pride and joy. Love her to death. And then we have 2 sisters also who are not on this picture. My older sister, Kenyetta, who just moved up here from Alabama. Shout out to TT Yetta. And Kella Baby, my youngest sister, Kella, who she will be on an episode with us as well, because me and her have the same dad, different moms. And our dad just passed away in February of this year. So we'll get on an episode and talk about, the role he played as a dad in my life and in her life. And of course, this is a Girl Dad podcast. So I want this to be heavy from her perspective. I wanted to get him on here. I'm kind of beating myself up about this because I wanted to have a podcast and do all of this before he passed away so I can get as much, wisdom and advice, whatever you want to call it, from him. But that never happened. Anyway, we'll get there later. Back to the picture. So Kella will be on here at some point. Love you, Kella. And then you have my mom next to her. Again, my mom is I got the best mom. We all got the best mom, right? I feel like that we all like some moms pay us to say that, but seriously, I love my mom to death. I don't know where I would be or what I would do without this woman. And then you have my other little baby, London. Oh, she got that little mark on her forehead because she fell. I don't remember what she was doing at the time. But so this is my family. Well, y'all see how we got here. I was raised by women. I was raised by women. I was raised around women. And now I have to raise three young women, three young black women. Raising them in this world is going to be tough. It is tough already. They're still babies, and I'm already facing challenges. And I don't know what it takes to be a strong black woman in America. I know what it looks like. I can point to a lot of them, but I don't know how to raise one. And by God, their mom, is in the picture, and I am not replacing their mom by any means. They spend plenty of equally amount of time, probably more time with her mom. With their mom than they do with me. So, of course she's there for that, but still having that male perspective, looking at it from the lens of a father, what does that look like for us? What does it look like to raise a woman in this world? And what do our daughters need us to be? And that's going to be different. That's going to be different from every father on it, which is why I want to have such a wide spread of people, because I want not only perspectives from dads who are my age, or dads who are a little bit younger, or black dads who are going through black problems, or that's not what this is about. This is across the board. I want to go to other countries, y'all. If this podcast can make it to where what I want to make it, wow, that sentence did not make sense. I can do, if this, I don't know, whatever I'm trying to say, if I can get this to the point where I want it, I guess that's a better way to say it. I would love to go to other countries. I would love to go to other countries and see what fathers do and how they raise their children, and how that's different than us, because I don't want to be that arrogant American and say, this is how we do it and this is right. Like that. No, I want to talk to people all over. And we're going to talk about so many things. So I'm going to give you a couple ideas of the topics that we will be discussing in this podcast. The balance of social life, work life, and the kids. I feel like that's something that we all struggle with as parents, but I can only talk about it from the perspective of a dad, specifically a girl dad. But sort of what that looks like, because I feel like as men, we're so stressed out. We have to provide for our family no matter what, do or die. There's absolutely no choice, which is the absolute right mindset to have. But we have to make sure that we don't beat ourselves to the ground about this. We have to make sure that we're not doing this to the point where we're neglecting ourselves and we're no longer taking care of us. Because if we can't take care of ourselves, how are we going to take care of our families? How are we going to take care of these kids? How are we going to take care of our spouse, our wife, our significant other? We need to know. So I feel like this is a great place to do that. I want this to be a safe place to do that, where we can all bounce and share ideas off of another. So that'll be something. The drama. The drama that comes with women. Now, this, I feel like I can speak on a lot, because y'all saw who raised me. I saw all the drama that comes with being a girl. So this part I kind of feel like I got a hold of. So when girls do something, like my oldest daughter, Marley, she's a crier. She's a crybaby. She's such a crybaby. God. But it's only at certain times. Like, it's mostly when she's tired. So, kids, they manifest their tiredness in different ways. And my Marley, she manifests hers by crying. And it used to get me. It used to get me like, oh my gosh, what do you want? Oh, you don't want to go to bed. Okay, let's stay up for years. Like, granted, I'm being dramatic now, but still, it was that. But I don't know. It's something about girls where everything is so serious. Everything is so serious. Everything has an emotion attached to it. That's something that's new for me, man. When somebody told me something happened, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Let's figure that out. Girls, they hear the same news and they're like, oh my God, really? Why? Let's fix, oh my God, what? How are we going to fix this? And then there's like so many emotions that come into it. And it's crazy, y'all, because y'all just innately have it. And that's great. And maybe that's a motherly instinct, or that's just Are females' brains wired differently than male brains? I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they are because they have ovaries and things that we don't have. So of course their brain needs to know things that ours don't to regulate their bodily functions. But wow, why did I go there with that? I don't know. Are men and women's brain different? If so, how are they different? Like I can get a doctor to come on here, y'all, and talk about, the physiological difference, the anatomical difference between a man and a woman. Because again, these are things we need to know as men. Of course, we are men who have children, so we know what the female anatomy looks like. But what is it supposed to, feel like or smell like, or all these things that are we kind of know, but we need to know like the true ins and outs so we can tell our girls if mommy's not home and they come on their period when daddy's home by himself. Are we gonna freak out? What do we do? I don't know. I've never been through this before. Let's talk about it. And this may not even be on your radar. I have babies. My oldest is 6. So I don't need to be thinking about that yet, but I do. And now when it comes, I'm aware of it. Again, I am so aware because I have all these other girls in my life. But this is something that you as a dad may have not thought about. Yep. They're going to have their period. This is going to happen. You just got to figure out how you're going to respond to it. Are you going to freak out and then freak them out? And now every time this is a reoccurring thing in their lives, or when it happens, you say, hey, baby girl, this is what's supposed to happen. Everything's okay. Yes, look, let's get it cleaned up. Here's what it means. Let's explain it to them. Again, if mom is there, great. You back up mom. If mom doesn't feel comfortable talking about this, or I don't know any woman who wouldn't be, but who knows? Or again, maybe mom is out of town on a work trip. Maybe mom is asleep. Maybe mom is at home. Maybe you guys are out in the car. This is happening. Or maybe mom is right there, but you as the dad will be included because you know exactly what's going on. And you know what's happening with your daughter. And why not be there? Why not know every possible thing it is to know? I want to know everything that's possible to know about my kid as much as I can. So I'm going to do what I can to learn. And that's the spot. Let me get a drink of water, y'all. Good Lord, I'm talking too much. Okay. Man, people talk a lot on podcasts. Yo, I'm about to break. See? Don't give me nice things. I can't even keep a microphone straight. There's so many wires, though. Like, I got the wire to the headphone. Aren't things wireless now? I'm going to figure out how to do this wire. Also, this setup will be much different. Like I said, I'm trying to figure this all out, so everything is super new to me. But I got a crazy nice camera with a crazy nice interface that I'm just learning how to use. And I'm going to have it set up nice. So there's going to be beautiful backgrounds and camera angles and couches for when I have in-person guests. So don't get used to seeing this ugly, grainy version of me. But it was important to me to do a video podcast because I wanted to do just an audio, but I feel like that's so messed up because I have so many deaf friends and I want them to be a part of this podcast journey. So, the best way to do that is to make videos and then caption them afterwards, and will be great. So that's what I'm going to do. Anyway, let's get back on track. So those are some of the things we'll talk about. Being sexualized. This is something that I know I'm guilty of sexualizing women and throughout my lifetime. And there's so much you have to be careful with. I find myself projecting things onto my girls. So I put Marley on a skirt the other day, and it was just really short. And I looked at her and I was like, no, Martha, you can't wear that. It's too short. People are going to look up at you. I mean, which is true. But like in my mind, it's always like a sexuality thing. It's not, this is just a kid going to play, so why can't she wear whatever? But it's because I know that it's perverts who are around the park who will look at my baby in a certain way. And why is that even a thing? Why is that a thing that I have to worry about my 2-year-old, my 4-year-old, my 6-year-old walking outside and being sexualized by another person, by another man, by another woman, by anybody? And it's so bad in this day and age. And I want to talk about that. I want to talk about how we can address that problem, how we can fix that problem, what we can do, how we can make sure that we are not a part of the problem. Because I'm sure as a man, as flawed as I am, that I'm going to continue making those mistakes, and I don't want to. And I want to learn what it means to sexualize someone and what it looks like and how not to do it. Because the best thing, if you want to know how not to do something, you need to know what it is and stay clear from it. So that's something that we'll talk about. We'll talk about value. Value is so important to me because I want to instill the right values into my girls. I want them to value themselves. I want them to value God. I want them to value family. And I just want to make sure that they find that value within themselves and their inner circle and their families and not within another man. Because when women find their value in other men, that's when they get stuck. That's when they're in this loop where they're dependent on another man. And that's not what I want for my girls. I want my girls to be in a partnership with the man that they want, the man that they find, when they grow up. But I don't want to teach them to be dependent on them. Love them. Let them take care of you. If they want to be the sole provider, if that's what you so choose and you want him to be that, then great. Allow him to care for you in that way. But guess what? If you don't have him, if he ain't there, she can still take care of herself just as much. And this is something I want to talk about too, because I talked to a bunch of guys about this and I asked them the question and I'm getting so much of the same answer and I want to challenge it and I want to bring it here. I asked someone recently who had two kids, a boy and a girl. And I asked them, like, do you take care of them differently? Like when you notice you're raising them, do you raise them differently? And he said, yeah, I hope you're listening to this because I want to bring him on the podcast and talk to him about it. I ain't going to name drop him just in case he don't want to. But he said, yeah, I do. I raise my son and my daughters differently. And I said, okay, why? And he said that, he emulated what his dad does. His dad, whenever his dad was out changing the oil, he was out there changing the oil with him so he can know how to do it for himself. Cool. And his sister, knew how to do it, but, never really around. And he said he wanted to do that as well. So he will model what a man looks like and what a man should do, by modeling it himself, by instilling in into his son as well. And his daughter see that and said, yeah, this is what a man is supposed to do and how to take care of me, which I think is dope. And I think that is great. Absolutely. You should model what you want your daughters to marry, because I'm going to talk about that a little bit later too. We need to be the men that we want our daughters to marry. That sounds weird. Why does that sentence sound weird? We need to, you know what I mean? We need to be a good role model so we can be the men that we want our daughters to marry. I don't like the way that's coming off my tongue. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. Dang. Now I just lost my train of thought. Where was I going with that? Damn. Now I'm gonna have to go with that train. Oh, founding. Oh, yeah. Back to the story. Duh, thank you. I'm talking about thank you. Nobody here to me. It's so late, y'all. I need to go to sleep. Okay, so I talked to my boy, and he said that. He said, so we can raise him up, and that's great, and I love that. But why not have your daughter out there too? Why not have her changing the oil? Why not have her help? While still telling her, hey, baby, this is what I would love your husband to do for you. If you find a husband, it would be cool if he knew how to do this one thing. I ain't gonna say he has to know because shit, I don't even know how to do it, but I want to learn. But, saying that these are things that men do to take care of you, to take care of the house, to take care of your family. When you marry someone, I want you to marry a man who wants to be a leader of the family. And these are the things that a leader does. This is how a man should lead his family. Great. But also bring her in there because she may not want a man. So we shouldn't put that burden on her to have to find one who does these specific things. No, you know how to do it. You know how to change your own oil. Not because you saw us do it, but because you got down underneath this hood and you did it with us. And I want to do that with my babies. So they'll always have that in their tool belt to say, yeah, I know how to do this. My daddy taught me how to do that. And now she doesn't need a husband to do it for her. She doesn't need a mechanic who might rip her off because she know how easy it is to get it done. So all these things, man, it's so cool. Okay, we're going to talk about all that. Values. Hair. Hair will be, I might need to start a whole nother podcast just about girls and their hair. Good Lord. We're going to get some help, y'all. We're going to get some help and figure out easy hairstyles to do. I'm sure we all have the ponytail perfected. I know I do. Thank you very much. We got to figure out this hair thing, y'all. I always told myself that I didn't want to be the dad that just hurry up, throw my baby's hair in a ponytail and throw him out the door so they can go to school. I don't want that. I don't like that. I know my babies have beautiful hair. I know that something beautiful can be done to it because I've seen it done. Their mother does her hair, and she's amazing. She does hair, so of course it looks great. But I want to do it, and I want to do it well, and I want it to look nice, and I want my baby to go to school, and somebody say, "Ooh, girl, your hair look cute. Who did it? My daddy." My daddy did my hair. It do look good, don't it? Hey, girl. Like I want that. I want that. I think that would be so dope. But I don't. I've had 6 years now to practice, and still all I can do is a ponytail. I don't like it. I'm mad at myself. I have zero. I have no one else to blame but me. So that's what I get. Um. So in the midst of all that, we'll figure out the hair, teach them how to be great humans, and that's where this podcast is for everyone. Because everything I'm talking about, sure, is specific to raising girls, but a lot of this stuff applies to raising children. Period. If you're a girl dad, great. If you're a dad with boys and girls, cool. You know, this podcast is absolutely geared towards you, of course. But if you're a mom who's got all boys and you're hearing this podcast and is like, man, I'm not getting any of this experience at all. I got all boys and I'm having the exact opposite problem, you know. And then it'll be cool to hear y'all coming in the comments. Single moms who don't have men in their lives that can't step up and be the father figure for their child. So mom is having to be the mom and the dad. And you know how to raise them. You know how to raise a kid as a mom. You don't necessarily know how to raise her as a dad. And this could be, you can come on here and say, oh, okay, this is what men do, you know, with their daughters. This is how men think with their daughters. You know, so you can just have that different lens. This podcast is for everybody. It's for everybody, but it's geared towards specific folk. But everybody can tune in and enjoy. Last thing, punishment. Punishment, I know, is such a sticky subject out there, especially with the whole gentle parenting thing, which I don't do. I don't think I can or want to, but it's different. And again, I will keep an open mind. That's the one thing that I promise y'all with this podcast. I will keep an open mind. And that doesn't mean that I'm going to try everything that everybody tells me, because not everything will fit me. However, if it's something that I think within reason, I'll give it a try. But I'll hear everybody out. If you conform to gentle parenting, great, cool. Come on here and let's talk about it. I'll hear you out. And if I hear something that say, oh, okay, great, that makes sense, cool, maybe I will try it. Or I will respect your decision that that's what you do with your children. And that's how I do with mine. But when other listeners out here, maybe they want to try it. Maybe they've heard a gentle parent, don't really know what that looks like or what that means. You can explain it to them and then go tell them, you know. So this is just, again, I want this to be a safe space. I want this to be a place where we keep an open mind. Before I forget, I want to tell y'all a story about something that happened to me this week. This is crazy, but this story is so emotional for so many reasons. But I feel like I need to get it out because it's something that happened to me. I was emotional, and like I want to lean into it a little bit because I don't really know why it impacted me as much as it did. I don't know, whatever. Okay, so my younger brother just had a baby boy. Shout out to my brother Kimani and Lil Zenway. It is so cool. He's my first little nephew, his first niece or nephew. My first sibling to have a kid. But Zenway was born with, or the doctor rather detected a heart defect and knew that it would require surgery almost immediately after birth. Not immediately, but soon within birth. So my brother and his girlfriend are at the hospital. She had the baby safely, safe delivery. Baby's great. So I go down there to see him just to make sure that if he needed anything, because I think that's so important. As dads, I feel like we get overlooked during the birthing process, which as we should. I mean, we're not the one pushing a whole baby out of our body. You know, but still, everybody who comes, they come to see the baby, they come and see the mom, and dads are usually just pushed off to the side because, again, that's the role that we should take. And I talk to every dad, and that's exactly where we want to be. This is not a complaint about that at all. But it's usually just what happens. So I talk to my brother and say, hey, man, I want to be there for you. So whatever it is you need, do you need food? Do you need a nap? Do you need to go home? You need somebody just to stay here with your girl? And do you need someone to bring you food? Whatever. I told him I wanted to do that for me. He didn't want anything, didn't need anything. So I was just there as more support, whatever. I get there. Her side of the family is there. And I've never met his girlfriend's side of the family, but they were so sweet. Everybody was so amazing. And then there was this kid. I want to say his name was Brandon. I'm pretty sure that's what he told me. I think they were calling him a nickname BJ. I don't know. I'm sorry. If you're watching this episode, you know who I'm talking about. And I remember, and this is crazy, man. You had such an impact on me. So I get there and her family's all there. She just had the baby. She's exhausted. She's tired. My brother's there. You can tell he's tired too. You're exhausted when you go through that birthing process. So the doctor comes in and say they're going to clean her up. Everybody leaves. We go downstairs to the cafeteria, eat some food. And all the while, this little kid is there, Brandon. And me and him, I think he's about, I want to say 8. They told me his age. I want to say 8 or 9. I know it's somewhere around there. Young kid, young, sweet kid. And we were just talking about everything. We were talking about, I think we got introduced to each other. We were talking about Spider-Man. And we talking about the different Spider-Man. I was like, do you like Miles Morales or Peter Parker? He's like, I like Miles Morales, but sometimes I like Peter Parker too. I'm like, well, which one? There's 3. We going through all the progressions, and then we get to talking about wrestling. And I love wrestling. That's something we'll talk about on the podcast. I'm a huge wrestling. Well, I guess I can't even say huge wrestling fan because I don't watch it as much anymore. It's been a lot less these past couple years, but still a big wrestling fan, just period. So we start talking about John Cena and SummerSlam that just went off. And all the while, we're downstairs in this cafeteria with all the parents. His mom and dad are there, and his aunt, his uncle, the mom of the baby, her parents are down there with us. All these adults, and I'm sitting here talking to this kid, and I'm having the time of my life, and I'm listening to him talk, and we making jokes about each other. He kept saying, "What was his transition phase?" But after he said something, he'd be like, "See, that's crazy, bro." And then like John Cena was fighting Jey Uso. It's like, it is crazy, bro. And then like that was always his go-to. And there was one time he said something. He was talking and he tried to transition, but he didn't say his face. So he's like, "Oh, and I think I was like, yeah, it's because you ain't say your little phrase. Go ahead, it's crazy, bro. Say that, then you gonna come." It was just a fun little banter. I'm getting way off topic. Anyway, we just have a great conversation just with me and this kid. All the adults, I think I may have said 5 words to them, but I'm locked in on this kid. And when we get back up to the room, to go see the baby, I didn't even get to see. I had to leave. But when I left, I just got in my car and I broke down and I cried. And I'm like, what am I don't cry that often. I ain't like tell, like, I don't never cry. I do. But it's very rare. It don't happen very often. But when I do, I try to lean into it and let myself feel it. But I broke down and cried, and I'm like, what am I crying for? And it was that moment that I had with Brandon that made me realize what I'm missing. Not what I'm missing, but I guess so. Yeah, what I'm missing out on. Like, I'll never have that experience with my own son, And I have my girls, and I love them, and I have had so many of those same interactions that I just had with Brandon. I've had those with a bunch of good Lord, now I got a list. A bunch of, younger girls who are the same age as my girls, because that's who I'm seeing. I'm spending time with other people's daughters, and I talk to them the same way I talk to my daughters, and we have those moments and we bond, and they're so cute and they're great. But I don't get to have that with many young boys. And I had a vasectomy. I didn't say that in this, so I can't have any more kids. So it was just kind of like, damn, I'm never going to have that moment, with my son. And just had a little moment to feel. I don't know why I felt the need to tell y'all that, but it was just great. And I don't regret my decision. I don't want to reverse my vasectomy and have more kids. That was not the point of that story. It was just really sweet to lean into my emotion, see, what could have been, but still enjoy what I have, So it was just a great moment. Anyway, I just thought I would share that with you guys. Hope y'all enjoyed it. If not, that's fine too. That's pretty much it, man. I will not keep talking y'all head off because I know it's just me and it's a lot of listening to me talk. So I'm going to shut up now. But I want to thank y'all for tuning in and for staying throughout the entirety of this podcast. Please, please, please share this with as many people as you know, not only dads. Absolutely. If you see a dad, tell them about it. Tell them to follow me on YouTube. This will be Once Upon a Dad podcast. You can follow me on social medias, on TikTok or Instagram. I'm Smart Guy 85 on there right now, but I plan on changing them to Once Upon a Dad podcast as well. So just look me up under Smart Guy 85 or Once Upon a Dad podcast. This will be up on YouTube. And I would love for you guys. So if you see any clip of this on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram, Facebook, whatever, please comment under this and tell me something that you want to talk about. Tell me a challenge that you faced as a dad. Tell me something, anything, and I would love to get on here and answer as many questions as I can, address as many concerns as I can. And if you are interested in being on the podcast, then please send me a message. I will Always leave my messages open on TikTok and Instagram. YouTube, I'm not sure how that works yet. I'm pretty sure if you can just comment and say, "Hey, I'm interested," or better yet, just go on TikTok and type it in there, or go on Instagram, send me a message and say, "Hey, I'm interested in being on the podcast." I would love to have you on here, and we'll get this going, man. This thing will be so fun. So I hope you all enjoyed this as much as I did. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Again, go follow me on social media, Instagram, TikTok, Smart Guy 85, and on YouTube, Once Upon a Dad Podcast. I love y'all, and we'll see y'all next week for episode 2.